I don't know if you've noticed, but 2025 is around the corner. And for me, that means I'm already living in 2025 because I've got bookings coming in for my talks and keynotes, for lunch and learns, and staff away days, that sort of thing. And clients are generally getting in touch and saying, Penny, I've got these challenges. We need our people to develop their careers, build their networks, be into business development in a bit of a stronger way. And they need to feel more confident, more self-assured because, hey, we've got a lot of pressure next year and we want to make sure they're feeling good. So if you've got an idea for an event and you're looking for a speaker or somebody to contribute that will help your audience members go away with some really strong ideas about how they can, I tailor every single talk I do to fit the audience and their needs so they can really get the most out of the day. So why not get in touch? pennyhaslam.co.uk if you're not there already. Book yourself a discovery call and share your ideas with me. Tell me what you've got in mind and what your audience members need. I can hold a date for you and think about how I can tailor my talks to fit your needs. Hi, Penny here. This time on the podcast, something a little different. You idiot. You're so stupid. Stop being a dick. You're a really horrible person. It's all going to go wrong. Look at you. You're fat. I'm writing a book at the moment, which is probably going to be called Workplace Confidence. It's all about building self-belief for you, your team and your organisation. And I want to share an early chapter, which I've literally just written. Right, let's get started with an excerpt from the first how-to chapter on self-talk. I hate to break it to you, but there's only one person who's going to be with you all of the time for the rest of your life until the day you die. And that is you. Holy crap. Hopefully you'll have a few other folk around you in various capacities, perhaps a partner, a parent or a pal, a co-worker or a kid, and yes, pets count too. And maybe one or some of them will indeed be with you for your last gasp. But nobody is with you 24/7 other than you. And no one else has the same backstage VIP access to what goes on in your mind. So the question is, if you are the only person who's going to be with you every minute of every day until you shuffle off this mortal coil, how are you showing up for yourself? Is it as the most loving, kind and supportive friend? Perhaps you're a natural champion of yourself. You back yourself and see things positively. And for that, I tip my hat at you and say, hurrah, keep going. Or are you with yourself every day as the undermining critic? Maybe you feel a trace of discomfort in certain scenarios, a sense of foreboding or regret that accompanies these criticisms. More shadows than sunshine, but hard to pinpoint in their origin. Possibly you experience a mixture of both friend and critic, one closely followed by the other, with the blend dependent on the circumstance at the time. And the premise that the stronger your ability to be kind and encourage yourself, the less doubt you experience, the smoother life's ride, is fairly straightforward, isn't it? But if it's so straightforward, how come we haven't all got inner cheerleading tendencies? In order to get to the bottom of that, we need to get specific on exactly how our inner supportive friend or undermining critic finds a way to be there. Quite simply, it's through the voice or voices inside your head. Our moods and feelings, the shifts in how we experience life, is often vocalized or articulated in our running scripts inside our heads. And as you'll discover in this chapter, there is a way to interrupt and redirect how we speak to ourselves about ourselves. It's a terrible shame that we're not more au fait with this as a thing. I'd love to change the fact that it is under-discussed and underutilised, because it's a game changer for your success at work and beyond. Once we get control of it, we can use it to our advantage. It can help us reduce stress, respond to challenges rather than reacting to them. And we can back ourselves when it comes to career progress, decision making, and during times of uncertainty. So it's vital to get acquainted with how you're showing up for yourself, because you are running through your head all day, every day. And in my experience, getting a grip on that is foundational when it comes to increasing and sustaining confidence levels. Inner chit-chat. Whether you're aware of it or not, most people talk to themselves. It's chatter or a running dialogue inside our heads that psychologists call inner speech. But along with many others, I call it self-talk, the voice or voices inside your head. Despite its powerful influence on the way we think about ourselves and the world around us, some people are astounded that it exists at all. When I speak at events about workplace confidence, I ask the audience if they've ever heard of self-talk. Usually it's a 25-75% split, with the majority shaking their heads or shrugging. To help them understand it, in that moment, I deploy this line. Who here has heard of self-talk? Well, if you're sitting there saying to yourself, I've never heard of self-talk, then that, my friend, is self-talk. Granted, it's naff and in no way original, but it gets a chuckle and helps to make the point. So why do we even have self-talk? Back when you were a human baby, you developed self-talk as part of acquiring language. It's useful. Self-talk locates us. It tells us where we are in the world, who we're with, and what we should or could do next. It guides our responses and reactions to events and influences how we feel. It's a backdrop, a constant hum. It's no wonder lots of us are not aware of it. We've lived with it nearly all our lives. Self-talk mostly comes in words, but its message can also be felt in sensations or seen in images. It's part running commentary and part self-reflection to keep us safe and on track. For instance, getting dressed this morning, peering into my wardrobe, I picked out my black flared jeans to wear. Oh, those flares. Oh, I've not worn them for ages and they're really comfy. Lovely choice. I said that inside my head, not out loud. And that's the beautiful thing about self-talk. It saves us vocalising everything, which would be exhausting, wouldn't it? Plus, my husband would assume I was chatting to him, and after a fashion would no doubt find it quite tedious. For example, the next thought I had after the black flared jean decision was, it looks quite chilly outside. I wonder if it is actually cold. I don't feel that cold, but then I suppose the radiators have been on, for about an hour now, so that could be a false reading. I know, I'll open the window and put my hand out. That'll sort out which jumper to wear. And so on. No partner should have to endure that level of dull, should they? The other advantage of self-talk is that it's lightning fast. It's far quicker to think a thought than to say it with our mouths. And these thoughts dash through our minds so quickly that we barely register them at all. Negative self-talk. If we only ever gave ourselves information about what to wear of a morning, life would be extremely straightforward. But we do not do this, do we? We are far more complicated than that. Bless us and our little complex human brains. The fact is, many of us experience negative self-talk almost constantly. There's a tough-talking critic on your shoulder, a caustic inner voice that is judgy, undermining, and sometimes abusive. We have an extraordinary ability to say things to ourselves that we would never, ever consider saying to someone else, even people we don't like. The author George Eliot, getting on for 2 centuries ago now, understood there was something fundamentally awry with the way we thought about ourselves. She said, "Our thoughts are often worse than we are." In short, we are capable of giving ourselves a bloody hard time, and this is a major problem, because negative self-talk can lower self-esteem, increase self-doubt and indecision, add unnecessary stress to your life, decrease satisfaction and contentment, hinder personal growth and career progression, give you a greater sense of helplessness, and reinforce low mood, depression and anxiety. In the workshop sessions and shorter masterclasses I run for teams of co-workers, I put people into pairs and ask them to bravely share the sorts of things they say to themselves that are self-critical. Sometimes I'll use a word cloud creator so we can see the toxicity of negative self-talk burgeon right in front of our eyes. It's a perfect team build exercise. Almost everyone in the room has a familiar go-to phrase, word or theme that they return to on a regular basis. I've heard so many crushingly harsh things that people say to themselves in their own heads, such as, "You idiot. You're so stupid. Stop being a dick. You're a really horrible person. It's all going to go wrong. Look at you. You're fat. Why on earth did you do that? What did you say that for, you moron? Nobody takes me seriously. I've no idea what I'm doing. That's shit. You're shit. They don't really love you. They're just being nice. You're such a frump. Is this all my life amounts to? You're so lazy. No wonder you're not successful. You don't know what you're doing, do you?" I can't actually bear to write anymore. It's harsh and it makes me sad because I've pretty much said all of those things to myself in a nasty, pernicious voice on repeat at various times in my life. There are hundreds of permutations of this sort of self-critical phrasing, and you'll have heard yourself say your own versions. You might even have a hunch where they've come from in the first place: the criticism from a parent, a thoughtless sibling, a bully at school, a teacher or sports coach, or a delightful combo of all of those from your formative years. But negative self-talk is an issue we rarely identify, hardly ever discuss, and so end up carrying around a lot of challenging ideas and feelings about our abilities, our bodies, what we say, what we think, how we interact with others, and whether or not we're likeable, lovable, and worth anything. And this holds us back and keeps us down, just from what we say to ourselves about ourselves. And that is a huge and somewhat unnecessary bummer. So that's where I'm up to so far. Why not share it with your friends and colleagues? And I'll be dropping more from the book as I write it, so would love to know what you think and if you relate to it. So when is it going to be published? Well, probably 2025. So keep listening to this podcast and reading my Workplace Confidence newsletter on LinkedIn for updates. Thanks for listening. I've got this newsletter. It's called Workplace Confidence, and the strapline is free resources for leaders and people professionals from Penny Haslam. That's me. And in the content, and this is what I'm especially proud of, you know, it's not just about having loads of people liking it. What I'm really, really chuffed about is that we've got really useful nuggets to help build up your self-belief so you can be better at decision making, quicker to do things, more confident, more comfortable in your own skin or in your language. If you're prone to saying sorry a bit too much at work, for example, when you're in presentation mode or in meetings, that sort of thing. So it's ideal for you if you want to disrupt your own self-doubt, help your colleagues build their confidence, and just generally boss your time at work. It's called the Workplace Confidence newsletter. It comes out every other Wednesday, and you can find it on LinkedIn.